Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Now for the rest of this video, you're probably going to be seeing me turn around that way because even though you're able to see everything that's behind me, I can only see straight ahead of me, right? I don't have eyes in the back of my head, believe it or not, and I can't tell if there's a car that's going to be coming down here because this is a one-way road, right? This is a very awkward place to film, as you can see, right? I can kind of walk back and forth around here at the moment because there's no cars coming, but I kind of have to keep looking that way. And my setup at the moment, my camera is kind of propped on the sushi that I was eating. I got a little meal deal which has like a little plastic box of sushi. So I opened the plastic box and I kind of tilted the camera up using that. And then I've got a packet of crisps that's kind of sat on the back, just weighing the backside of it down just so that it doesn't tip over. It's hard to explain, right? It's just ridiculous, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's not a professional setup in any regard, right? But at the end of the day, it does work because this shot is amazing. Imagine, right? We're in a movie, right? Hi, yeah, I've done the job. Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, come over to this random fucking alleyway and just sort it out, mate. Yeah, make sure you bring the smack. Right? Imagine there's something like that, right? A proper movie scene. This looks like a movie scene, right? That building in the background is just absolutely fucking gorgeous. The cobble street is absolutely fucking gorgeous, right? But at the end of the day, this is a really awkward place to film, right? And sometimes when you're making a film, you're gonna find these really amazing locations that say they have loads of sounds, like there's that rumbling of the air conditioner or the heat or whatever the hell that is, that's going on, right? There's the cars that are coming down here, there's traffic on the other side, there's traffic up there, there's people walking along, there's a tourist group that are over there giving a talk. There's so much noise going on that if you were to do a proper like movie scene with, you know, those kind of boom microphones and all that sort of stuff, you wouldn't really be able to make this work, right? And with a big crew, it'd be quite awkward to come down here. But at the end of the day, this is such a beautiful location that you would have to do something with it, in my mind. Because you see a beautiful location and you can find an angle that makes it interesting, that shows it off in its best light. I think it's almost your duty, if you're someone that's really into video, making films and stuff, it's almost your duty to capture that on camera in the best way that you can. Whether that's, and it depends on the purpose, you know? Say if you were to make some kind of like gritty, that sort of scene that's talking about, yeah, come down here, I've just murdered this cunt and we're gonna give him sort of, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? You wouldn't want to waste this location on loads and loads of close-ups. So maybe what you would do is instead of having a scene like that, because that would kind of call for a lot of close-ups, find a scene that would call for the location, right to the locations that you know, right? Wherever you live, I bet there's loads of things that you pass every single day and you're like, that would look really good on camera, but I just don't have a reason to go there. Write yourself a reason to go there. Whether it's for a film with a script, or maybe it's just doing a video like this, or maybe it's just giving yourself any excuse, maybe it's part of a music video, anything, right? Just give yourself an excuse to go and film various interesting, beautiful locations, because this is a beautiful location that I don't want to let go to waste, right? And if I hadn't filmed here, I would have regretted it, right? That to me is kind of the key thing. And the thing is that not every location is going to be perfect. Different locations are going to have that sound thing, so you probably have to rely on lav mics. Different places are possibly going to have such loud amounts of audio going on, diegetic audio, like boo, 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 all over the place, that maybe you'll have to rely on just not having any audio at all. Maybe that means you have to do overdubs. If that's the case, so what? Because this is such a beautiful location that the location is what matters more, right? And if you filmed it in such a way where you're quite distant, right, the overdubbing might feel quite natural, right? Because you probably can't see the absolute intricacies of the way my mouth is moving right now, right? So because of that, that means you can get away with ever so slight imperfections with the ADR. It doesn't have to be the most perfect, you know, cookie fucking perfect ADR. It's not a worry, okay? So make yourself something that it kind of lends itself to the location, specifically the weaknesses of the location. Like, for instance, at night time, I don't see any lights around here. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there. You could maybe get something kind of going along, like maybe a very contrasty, shadowy type thing where I'm walking down like these guys are doing, right? You could get something kind of like that, possibly. And you see, this is another awkward thing. It kind of works for my videos because it's kind of the point of what I'm talking about. But say if I was doing a movie scene, you wouldn't want the, you know, oh, I've just killed this smackhead guy to be like getting out of the car like, oh, I've just killed this smackhead. Oh, sorry. Yeah, come down with the smack, we're gonna fucking kill this cunt. You know, it wouldn't work, right? So the cars coming down wouldn't lend itself to that. But maybe a music video, say I'm just like this, ooh, I'm a knobhead and I'm dancing in the street, ooh, that kind of thing. That could kind of work for one quick scene. Ooh, I'm a knobhead and I'm swirling in the street, right? That kind of works for this, because you could do that, bam, 3 seconds flat. That's all right, okay? So the way I think of it is there's so many beautiful locations out there in the moment. At the moment, I'm out in Edinburgh, in Scotland, the capital of Scotland, and so the architecture here is so unique that it lends itself to this sort of almost Gothic kind of sensibility. And it just looks absolutely stunning. And it has to be used for something, because that's how my brain works, is I see a good location and I kind of put it in the mental backlog, right? But because I don't come to Edinburgh vastly often, last time I was here was about 3 years ago, right? I'm not going to get another chance to film here. This is my one and only chance, right? But it had to be done. It had to be filmed here. There was nothing else that could have been filmed here, other than the fact that this is just awkward, right? It's really, 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 really fucking awkward to get this done, okay? And it's going to be the case for most of your locations, because there's no such thing as a perfect location, because you can't afford to call the council up to get the entire street shut down so that the cars won't come down here, or to call every single car owner along here to get them to park their car somewhere else. Traffic in Edinburgh is already a nightmare. So how are you going to make any of that work, right? You'd be paying out the wazoo for that. And frankly, I don't have the money for that. You probably don't have the money for that. And at the end of the day, I don't think the council deserves that money just for clearing out a street for one day, right? When I could work around it and do something with it. I do like Tokyo. I've not been to Tokyo, but they don't allow cars to just be parked on the street like this. It just looks shite. But in Tokyo, everything is just no cars anywhere. Cars drive around, but when they park in these like underground car parks just out the way. That's why when you see photographs of Tokyo, it looks so stunning and beautiful all the time, and why it almost looks like a liminal space in a way. It just looks like something alien, like something so fascinating, almost like a fantastical realm, because there's no cars all over the place. Cars are one of the worst things for locations. I find that they just get in the way of so much, and I just think that they're ugly, and like, especially these new ones. I mean, that one's pretty shit, that Audi there. The one behind it, the grey Volkswagen, that's shit. The van up there, I mean, that one I don't mind too much, because that could kind of be useful for the scene, whatever the scene might be. But like, I don't know if you can see this one, this Volkswagen Tiguan. It just looks atrocious. It's a big fat SUV with no personality to it, And these things just get in the way of what you're doing, right? And all you can do, because you can't control your surroundings, you can control what it is that you're making, and you can make what you're making lend itself to these surroundings, right? That's the key. This is why you don't see many independent filmmakers making like historical dramas, set in the 1800s, because how are you going to get rid of all these cars? And then you've got to make costumes for every single character, no matter how minor they are. Every person in the background will have to be an extra. We couldn't just cheat and just get random people to be in the background. This is why so many films are set in the modern day, because you have to take all of these things into account, and it costs a lot of money. It costs so much money to get that done, and a lot of people don't have the time or the resources to get that done. I certainly don't, right? That's why every film I've ever made is set in the modern day. That's the only reason. I'd love to make something that's a bit of a period piece, but it's never going to happen because of the amount of work that would have to go into it. But the architecture is the one thing that is timeless. Look at that. That could all be like 1700s, 1800s. I don't know architecture particularly well, but like it is old. It looks old. Bar the signs and all that sort of stuff, and the weird sort of ghetto-y kind of outhangs and stuff like that. The kind of almost looks like it's like Once Upon a Time in America. That's why I love this shot so much. It just feels like I'm in something like a 70s Hollywood movie. And that's what I love about it. I mean, I'm not dressed for it. Maybe if I did that, get a bit more of an Italian gangster, right? And that could be a bit of fun. Yeah, I'm walking here. Well, I'm not. I'm doing that. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is there are so many gorgeous locations wherever it is that you live. I don't care where you live. You might live in Oklahoma City. I've dropped the pin on Oklahoma City on Google Maps and gone on the Google Street View. It looks a fucking wreck. Oklahoma City is the most soulless, miserable looking place, and I went around it endlessly, right? Trying to find something of worth, and I couldn't find anything. But you know what? If I went to Oklahoma City, I would find so many interesting things to film, because every city, no matter how soulless or modern or whatever, it has character, it has soul. Even if that character it's modern and soulless and slick, because that's the character in all of itself, right? And you can make something out of that. There's always a story to tell, no matter how interesting or boring your location is. And it's up to you to find those stories. And it's up to you to craft the world around you
into something that is useful as a storytelling device, right? Because film at the end of the day is a linear narrative, but the world around you is not linear, right? So it's up to you to figure out how you're going to get from A to B in the most interesting way possible and in the most interesting locations that fit your story the best, right? Say if you live in, I don't know, Baghdad, you're not going to write Goodfellas and then try and shoot it like Goodfellas set in New York. And likewise, if you're living in New York, you wouldn't try and write City of God, because it just wouldn't make any sense, right? You wouldn't film like something about like a tribe in Africa in Washington, DC. It just wouldn't be done. And it's okay to not, to limit yourself in terms of the locations that you have around you, right? Because the locations that you have around you aren't a limitation. They are a tool that you can use to your advantage. They're something that you can craft to be something interesting, to be something magnificent, to take the mundane and make it something interesting. That's the key here. You can take really boring things. I mean, this is really interesting, but you can take really boring things and make them interesting. Likewise, you can also take really interesting things and make them boring. This is a really gorgeous shot, right? Do you want to see what a boring version of this shot could have looked like? Because it doesn't have to look all slick and nice like that. It could look like that. I mean, this is just a wall. It's just some random wall. This could be anywhere. And it doesn't tell a story, really. I mean, the graphite walls here are quite nice. They're all right. I'm not complaining about the wall, but at the end of the day, it's just, you got to find the most interesting angle in whatever location it is that you have, with the resources that you have. If I had a tripod, I might have been able to get a slightly better adjustment of this shot. But you know what? I kind of like the limitations that I have, because it means that I get more creative with it. If I had the tripod, I would have set it up in the middle, and I would have made it all fucking, even on every side, and it just wouldn't have been very good, right? But with the limitation that I have, it's set on this like little wall, mini chest-high wall type thing that's by the pavement. So that means that it has that unevenness, and you can work that to your advantage. What's the spiral thing? You know, where it goes in and in, it's the mathematical equation, the golden ratio. You can use that kind of thing to your advantage. And it's not like you have to be actively thinking of all this. I don't actively think of all that. I look at it after the fact and realize that's what I was doing. Right? And the more that you do this, the more that you will subconsciously take these various ideas into equation and put them to good use, right? I mean, I've gotten a lot better at cinematography since I started doing this channel, since I started walking around without a tripod and just popping it wherever, right? I do use a tripod a lot of the time, but if I can't be bothered to take the tripod with me, because it's a big bulky thing, it's like as big as I am right now, and sometimes I can't be asked to take that around with me, so I just pop it down and things like that, right? You can get a lot out of the location that you have, and you can do a lot with a little, and you can also do a little with a lot, right? And that's a bad thing, by the way. You don't want to do a little with a lot. You don't want to get loads and loads of gorgeous things. Go into the Sistine Chapel and film the electrical outlets. That's what it'd be like. It's just using the tools around you to your advantage at the end of the day. Use the locations around you to your advantage, and try and find interesting locations in your local area and also while you're out and about. And the more that you shoot, the better you'll get at finding little bits of gold, right? Even if it's an awkward place like this where there's people walking down, there's cars coming down, there's noise all over the place. Not every location is going to be perfect in every single way, and it's up to you to make the location perfect, not for the location to cater to your needs. So that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. Hope you managed to glean something from it. Let me know about some locations that there are maybe in your local area. Maybe don't tell me the actual place, but maybe just describe what it is. Maybe it's a cave, maybe it's a lake, maybe it's a cool building, all that kind of stuff. And if you can use these buildings and these ideas and these locations to your advantage, then do so, because they're there for a reason, right? And the reason isn't so that you can film them, but you can get that, that's like a little bonus, isn't it? So yeah, that's gonna be it from me, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, take care, and bye-bye. And I'll close the video off just by showing you my setup. That's what I was filming on. The camera is where that, I don't know if you can see it. See where my finger, kind of the blur is? That's where my camera was, on top of that sushi pile there. That's what it was. And you go down here, and you got that. That's also quite a cool shot. I feel like the festival thing in the background kind of betrays it. I preferred this. This was my favorite one. This is what it probably would have looked like if I had a tripod. Which, let me know if you think that looks better, because personally I don't think it looks better at all.